At 1 a.m., the Gulf of Oman is not merely a body of water. It is a pressurized theater of electronic signals. The Jamaran, a 1,500-ton Moudge-class frigate, cuts through the obsidian swell with a singular rhythmic focus machine that believes it has already solved the equation of its own survival. In the CIC, the flickering luminescence of the Pacer radar screens paints the faces of the Iranian crew in a ghostly cyan. They are hunting ghosts, the fifth-generation silhouettes of F-35Cs that might at any moment descend from the low-hanging clouds. To the Jamaran, the sky is the only dimension that matters. Its Acer radar pulses into the atmosphere, a desperate electronic reach for a target that possesses the radar cross-section of a marble. This is the calculus of the surface, the belief that danger is a vertical threat, a kinetic strike from above. Below the waterline, the ship's active sonar arrays are pinging with a relentless, rhythmic arrogance. In the minds of the tactical officers, they have established a green zone, a sanctuary of detection. Their logic is as rigid as the steel hull. The ocean is a uniform, incompressible medium. To them, a nuclear-powered intruder is a noisy behemoth, a collection of reactor hums and propeller cavitation that should be as obvious as a heartbeat in a silent room. The Jamaran functions as a self-assured gatekeeper, a sentinel whose gaze is fixed firmly on the horizon and the heavens. It relies on its intimate knowledge of local bathymetry and the shifting thermal layers of the Gulf to mask its own signature while stripping away the anonymity of others. There's a profound, cynical irony in its posture. The ship is a masterpiece of asymmetrical intent, yet it suffers from the ultimate reality friction, the assumption that what you cannot hear does not exist. It stares into the dark clouds with predatory intensity, personifying an apex predator that has forgotten the floor of its cage. It watches the stars, entirely oblivious to the stones, resting in the abyss below stones that do not hum, do not pulse, and do not follow the rules of 20th century acoustics. The surface is proud. The depths are patient. 400 feet below the Jamaran's keel, the ocean floor holds a secret that the frigate's sonar was never designed to solve. This is the Orca XLUUV, 26 meters of titanium and pressurized logic. Unlike the Virginia-class submarines that the Iranian crew is trained to fear, the Orca carries no life support systems, no internal atmosphere, and no human heartbeat. It is a vessel stripped of the biological vulnerabilities that usually betray a machine's location. The Orca's presence is a masterclass in systemic concealment. Having approached the strait on its diesel engines days ago, it transitioned to its lithium-ion battery arrays miles from the target zone, effectively fading out of the acoustic spectrum. For 72 hours, it has remained tethered to a single coordinate in a state of total thermal and acoustic equilibrium with the surrounding water. It does not hunt, it waits. It has no reactor pumps to hum, no propellers to cavitate, and no crew to generate the incidental noise that fills an adversary's library of signatures. The strategic shift here is fundamental. Why risk a $3 billion platform and the lives of 130 sailors to blockade a choke point when a $50 million swimming algorithm can achieve the same result? To the Jamaran, the abyss appears empty because its systems are calibrated to find a vessel, a machine that breathes, burns, and vibrates. The Orca, however, functions more like an autonomous piece of the seabed. The United States has not just sent a better weapon. It has introduced a silent zero into the Iranian naval calculus, a threat that remains invisible not because the defenders are failing, but because the Orca has rewritten the rules of what it means to exist in the deep. While the Iranian frigate continues its vigilant sweep of the skies, it has unknowingly crossed a threshold into a pre-calculated kill zone. The Orca, in its silent transit, has seeded the patrol corridor with a series of Hammerhead CAPTOR systems, modular, encapsulated sentinels that now cling to the silt of the seabed like discarded industrial debris. These are not the primitive contact mines of the previous century. Each Hammerhead is a self-contained logic gate, housing a Mark 54 lightweight torpedo integrated into an ultra-sensitive sensor suite. In this state, the systems are practically invisible, operating in a passive acoustic mode that emits zero electronic signature. They do not search, they listen. They do not guess, they compute. The brain of the Hammerhead is a sophisticated AI processor, currently filtering the chaotic acoustic environment of the Gulf of Oman through a massive onboard signature library. The ocean at this hour is a cacophony of biological and mechanical interference. The sensors pick up the high-frequency snapping of pistol shrimp, a chaotic, crackling noise floor. The algorithm identifies and discards it in milliseconds. It registers the low-frequency rhythmic thrum of a Greek VLCC, very large crude carrier passing 20 nautical miles to the south. The processor calculates the distance, engine type, and displacement, cross-referencing it with the rules of engagement, and filters it out as a non-combatant variable. Then, a new frequency enters the local acoustic bubble. It is the distinct signature of the Jamaran. Every vessel, no matter how well maintained, possesses a unique acoustic fingerprint, a mechanical confession of its internal state. The Hammerhead's AI detects a slight eccentricity in the frigate's port side propeller shaft, a microscopic wobble that produces a specific harmonic. It identifies the unique cycle of the ship's auxiliary cooling pumps, a signature that matches the Moudge-class profile precisely. This is the moment where the green zone established by the Iranian crew evaporates. The Hammerhead's processor confirms the target not based on visual confirmation, but through a mathematical certainty derived from the ship's own mechanical imperfections. The snare does not trigger immediately. The calculus of the kill requires more than just detection. It demands optimization. The networked Hammerheads shared data via low probability of intercept (LPI) acoustic bursts, calculating the Jamaran's vector, speed, and the precise geometry of the seabed. They are waiting for the total destruction coordinate, the point where the ship's structural integrity is most vulnerable to a localized kinetic surge. The minefield is indifferent to the bravery or the vigilance of the sailors above. It is simply waiting for the variables to align. In this algorithmic reality, the Jamaran is no longer a defender of the strait. It is a collection of acoustic data points moving toward a predefined zero on a digital map. The transition from a patrol to a catastrophe is now merely a matter of a few hundred yards of displacement. The depths have finished their analysis. The surface is simply waiting for the result. At 1:17 a.m., the structured silence inside the Jamaran CIC fractures. It begins with the veteran sonar operator, a man whose ears are tuned to the specific frequency of the Gulf's underwater topography, noticing a minute deviation in the ambient noise floor. It isn't a mechanical sound, nor is it the rhythmic beat of a propeller. Instead, it is an acoustic void, a moving pocket of silence that seems to displace the natural background hum of the sea. Questionable contact at bearing 120, range 2,000 meters. The report cuts through the low-level chatter. The captain of the Jamaran does not hesitate. He operates on the doctrine of proactive defense. He orders the ship to general quarters and commands the deployment of active sonar buoys. Moments later, the frigate's hull vibrates as powerful acoustic pulses, high-energy pings, are hammered into the water column. The intent is to illuminate the darkness, to force whatever's lurking in the abyss to surrender a solid return. 400 feet below, the Orca XLUUV does not react with the panicked evasion of a manned vessel. It does not engage in a high-speed sprint that would betray its location through cavitation. Instead, it initiates a pre-programmed maneuver known as acoustic shadowing. Using its internal map of the local bathymetry, the Orca slides behind a jagged underwater ridge. It perfectly calculates the angle of the incoming sonar pulses, positioning itself within a shadow zone created by the Gulf's sharp thermocline, the boundary where the water's temperature shifts abruptly. On the Jamaran's consoles, the clear picture they expected becomes a chaotic mess of ghost echoes and refracted signals. The active sonar waves are being bent and scattered by the thermal layers and the seabed, returning a distorted smear rather than a definitive hull signature. Inside the CIC, the technical certainty begins to erode into human debate. One officer insists they are tracking a sophisticated U.S. stealth platform. Another argues it is merely a thermal drift or a massive school of deep-water fauna reacting to the sonar pings. There is no heartbeat to confirm, no engine heat to lock onto. This ambiguity is the final invisible component of the trap. By attempting to resolve the mystery of the Phantom, the Jamaran adjusts its course, increasing its engine output to maintain a tactical position. In doing so, it unwittingly aligns itself with the optimal destruction geometry of the Hammerhead minefield. The search for the ghost has become the very force that pulls the ship into the jaws of the machine. At 1:20 a.m., the ambiguity ends. There is no warning, no missile plume lights up the horizon, and no electronic warfare suite screams a frantic alert. The only precursor to the strike is a solitary, mechanical clack 400 feet below the sound of a Hammerhead canister shedding its skin. The Mark 54 torpedo, acting as the scalpel of this surgical intervention, does not target the Jamaran's hull for a traditional sinking. Such a move would be inefficient. Instead, it is programmed for a systemic erasure. The torpedo navigates with a single-minded focus toward the stern, homing in on the specific acoustic turbulence created by the ship's struggling propulsion system. It detonates not with a massive undirected blast, but with a shaped, directional charge designed to focus its kinetic energy upward through the ship's most vulnerable mechanical nodes. The result is a domino chain of catastrophic failures. First, the mechanical collapse. The focused pressure wave shears the propeller shafts and shatters the rudder assembly as if they were made of brittle glass. In a single microsecond, the 1,500-ton frigate loses its ability to steer or provide thrust. It is no longer a maneuverable combatant. It is a ballistic object moving on a decaying vector. Second, and more devastating, is the electromechanical shock. The energy of the blast is conducted through the Jamaran steel frame, a high-voltage surge of vibration that travels faster than the human nervous system can react. Inside the CIC, the results are clinical. The intense structural deformation causes sensitive circuit boards to exceed their mechanical tolerances and fail. Power relays, designed to protect the ship's grid, trip simultaneously under the surge. The flickering cyan screens of the PESA radar, the very eyes that were searching for ghosts in the sky, black out instantly. The transition is jarring. The roar of the engines and the hum of the electronics are replaced by a heavy, terrifying silence. In the flick of a relay, the Jamaran has undergone clinical death. Emergency lighting fails to engage as the main bus is severed. The crew is left in a pitch-black tomb of high-grade steel, drifting aimlessly in the Gulf's currents. The pride of the regional fleet has been reduced to a dead-in-the-water status, a floating block of inert metal that is now entirely invisible to the systems it once relied on. The logic has been finalized. The green zone was a mirage, and the obsession with the vertical threat was the flaw that allowed the abyss to finish its work. We truly apologize for the interruption of your patrol. We know you were meticulously prepared to intercept the ghosts in the clouds, and your vigilance was technically admirable. Your only error was the assumption that the ocean still belongs to those who possess a heartbeat and make noise. In this calculus, the silence didn't mean you were safe, it meant you were already being erased. If you want to continue following the strategic strikes of Operation Epic Fury, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Goodbye.